Alright, we're on record, so first of all, welcome to Geography 2 and 3. I'm Mr. Belcher. I am acting as a sort of extension professor for this class, so for the sake of ease, I am the professor. So I can manipulate grades, I can do good things, I can do bad things. I'm just kidding, I would never do a bad thing.
Can you pass us?
Say what? I can pass you if you do well on the course. Okay. The good news about this class, for most of you, I think you're taking your first college class. So first of all, congrats. Yay! Second of all, this course, while it is considered to be one of the easier courses, don't make the mistake that it is just easy. Okay? It is easier than many of the courses you will take, but there is a lot of work to do, and you will need to do all of the reading, so you need to make sure you're up to date. College is a bit different from what you deal with at high school in tandem. You don't really get extension dates and stuff for assignments. If you missed an assignment, you missed an assignment. And it can affect you drastically in the grade. If you did not turn in something, that's on you. The responsibility shift is significant when you're doing a college class. Regarding that line, if you need to communicate with me about something, this is very important that all you need to know this, because I swear, I think every single class I have one student or two forget this. I understand it, but you need to learn it. You have a college email, okay? And you should have access to it right now. If you have a question regarding anything in this college class, you have to send an email to my college email, which is, I think, j.belcher@tfc.edu, from your college email. If you send me an email either to my private email or from your private email, by the rules of TCOA, I cannot answer it. I cannot touch that. So if you had a paper that was due and something went wrong and you sent me an email from the private email, tough. Sorry, and that's not my rule, that is TCOA's rule, so if you have a question, send it to me. TCOA policy is that I have to, as best to my ability, answer an email within 24 hours. I'm usually good about that. Sometimes I miss one. If I do, send me a repeat email and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I almost always answer them within 10 hours or less because I like to just get those out of the way if I can. I try to be as communicative as possible. Alrighty, so that beginning, let's look at the syllabus and what we're going to be covering for world geography.
Can I get a free donuts?
I'll take one, I guess.
Okay.
The story just let you know you're on camera. Alright, so, course description. This course is a survey of world regional geography which draws together two categories of interrelated elements: the diverse physical features of areas of the earth and cultural influence. So, if you thought geography was just going to be about learning about maps, guess what? It's going to be about learning about peoples and cultures. Why are certain cultures the way they are? Why are certain people the way they are? Why are certain beliefs the way they are? That is directly affected by where they live. True story. So if you live in a very cold place like Russia or Siberia, it might affect the difference between if you live, say, in Hawaii. So it's going to be a very different way of life. So we're going to be learning about that. Okay, so there are two essential ideas that we're going to be covering, course objectives, and some slightly less important but still important ideas. The first major idea is getting a basic understanding of the subject. Duh. Just being fair here. Obviously, one of the main ideas is to gain an understanding of geography. The second one is, to me, a little bit more important. Developing the knowledge and understanding of diverse perspectives, global awareness, and other cultures. So, we all grew up with a certain worldview. And all of us are a little different, but we all grew up with a certain worldview. I want to show you how essentially where you live and where you come from affects that worldview, and how we should learn to respect and understand other worldviews. That does not necessarily mean you have to agree with them. That's okay. But you need to learn how to respect them. Alright, developing ethical reasoning or ethical decision making. This one's pretty important too. Like, why did certain tribes or cultures make the decisions they do, and were they ethical, were they not? Why? Learning to analyze, critically evaluate arguments, points of view. This you'll be doing during your discussions. You will actually have discussions where you will have to reply to your peers. Yes?
Are there still 3 discussions?
We'll get to that. I don't think there's going to be as many as history. HIS 2, 3, or whichever the number was, HIS was tough. It was a third semester or third year course, so a little bit tougher. Alright, and finally learning to apply course material, which is straightforward, very easy. So, first what it is. Alright, these important dates, and I'm pretty sure these, I know this says 2021 is 2022. So first day of class is 21, which is that today or yesterday? Yesterday. Drop deadline is March 21 to 23rd, 2022, obviously. So that's tomorrow. If you want to do a drop ad and you just don't want to take this course, you need to do it by tomorrow. The midpoint of the session is April 14th, which is at 5. It's the last day to withdraw without academic penalty. So what this means is if you're doing the course and you're just really not doing well, like you're in a C or a D and you just don't feel like you can pull out of it or it's just overwhelming to you, April 14th is the last day to withdraw without a bad grade. You can get a W and that's totally fine. And you're just basically saying, I'm bowing out, come back and take it later. Very last day of class should be May 11, 2022 at 11:55 p.m. Alright, your required materials, and this is actually really good because you have links to all of them. You have a PDF of World Regional Geography by Kate Finlayson. Now the good news is you should be able to access that on your class page. So you don't have to buy a textbook. That is so wonderful because if anybody's ever taken college class before, oftentimes you end up having to pay for textbooks, which is super expensive. All your stuff that you need for this class is provided. It's already there. You can click these links. These are some extra links to geographical links, and then these will help you identify countries as well, and then this is the textbook. If you have any trouble accessing the textbook, let me know. There should be a direct link to it. So far I've been able to pull it up, but you will need that for your quizzes and for your discussions. So, alrighty. You also need a computer, obviously. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. That's just, you need a laptop, or access to a computer or a laptop. One of the two, because all of your material work will be online. It will not be written, you will not have to use paper and pencil, it will all be online. Yes?
I know one thing on your college email. Check it every day.
Yes.
Because I missed an assignment, 2 assignments actually,
Yep.
so I didn't check the email. Yes. Every day you have to check it.
So CC brings up a really, really good point. Check your college email every day because this course and the HIS course, sometimes something may go wrong, like a date may be off or a quiz may be off. As a matter of fact, we'll get to that in a little bit, but I just caught it. Last year, quiz 7 in this course was blank because the people who loaded the quiz forgot to put files in and had to fix it last year, and I found that out on that week, so I was in a big panic to do that. I caught it this time. So all the quizzes should be up to date and should reflect the Jeopardy and the reading material. If for any reason there is an issue or like a major group change, I'm going to send a group email and everybody's going to get that email. And it's going to be like, hey, just a heads up, something happened. So check your email every day just in case. Just look it up, it won't take you 2 minutes. Also, your schedule is listed on the class page. Like you can look week to week what you have to do. Make sure you've turned in everything for that week because like I said, if you missed the deadline, I can't help you. It is what it is. But, alright, so ordering textbooks for online classes, you don't need to worry about that because your textbook is already on there. Important information regarding your online courses. Real quick, just to cover that, is everyone able to log into their college page? Show of hands, everyone looks like everyone. Okay, so no problems there. If for any reason you have a problem logging into your college page, you need to contact IT at TFC. They are the people that handle that, so if your password's not working or the website's down or whatever, you need to either call or email IT and let them know, hey, something's up. They will handle that. And this is their email. It's support@tfc.edu. That's listed in the syllabus. Yes, sir?
So in other words, the email to contact for technical support is on the thing that would fail that you need the support?
Theoretically. It depends on if their whole website is down, and if so, call. They'll have a number listed here, so there's their number listed, there's their email. But usually what I'm talking about is like if for any reason you have trouble getting into a certain account, you can send it through a private email, I think, but I would just call them, just let them know. So if you have issues with that, those are who to contact. I am the professor, so I don't really handle the technical issues.
What's the phone number? What's the other numbers?
That is a great question. I do not know. That is, I think this is just a different version of the same number. So like, I think these are 2 different numbers to contact the same office. Probably 2 people working in IT, I would imagine. But either one, I'm not exactly sure about that. But if you have any technical difficulties, that's who to contact. Also, if you have any technical difficulties and you know something's going to be late, email me. Like, let me know as soon as possible and say, Mr. Belcher, something happened, I'm late on my paper, can I have an extension? Like, you gotta let me know before that due date is up. If you wait 2 or 3 days later and just don't turn something in and then you're like, oh, my bad, sorry, too bad. Yep.
Are the quizzes multiple choice?
We'll get to that. They will be, but we'll get to that. We're going to keep going down this list of everything we're going to be covering. All right, so first thing, as it happens, is quizzes. All right, first things first, and you need to do this today if you have not done this, and this is for the people watching on camera too. Students need to check into their course during the first 3 days of class or be dropped from the course. So in other words, your deadline for that is, I think, tomorrow, but I would do it today. It's a very simple check-in course. So, you must complete the check-in located at the top of your course page in the first 3 days or first 2 days of all courses to show that you've logged into the course and viewed the syllabus and course materials. This just tells me and tells the college you totally understand what you're reading and what you're doing, and yes, you agree to be in the course. It's kind of like a license agreement thing. Alright, let's go over one set of assignments we'll be doing, chapter quizzes. You'll be able to see this on the course schedule here. You'll notice you'll have chapter quizzes just about every week. So the first week covers chapters 1 and 2, second week chapters 3 and 4, and so on, yes.
I don't have this.
Oh, I'm sorry, CC, I did not keep it here. Now, you will notice, and we'll get to this in a bit, you'll notice on week 4, it says exam 1, and for week 7, exam 2. Exam 1 is going to cover chapters 1 through 5. So if you did well on the quizzes from chapters 1 through 5, you're probably going to do on the exams the exact same questions. It's just a higher
What if you
income.
forget everything?
So what?
What if you forget everything after the quiz?
Well, let's try not to do that. Best advice I can give you there. Alright, so, chapter quizzes. Students will need to read the chapters of the test, and after every chapter there will be a timed quiz of 30 minutes with 20 questions. Some of the quizzes, but not all, will include identifying countries on a map. It is a suggestion for students to use these websites that are listed to help prepare these questions. These are interactive sites that include all of the countries in the world. Identifying places on a map is part of the test given to education majors to be certified to teach. So if any of you are wanting to be teachers in the future, this is important to know. Quizzes will be made available for students to take at 9 a.m. I think I put mine at 9 or 8 even, on Monday of each week before they're due. Quizzes are open book, open notes. Open book, open notes. However, let me caution you about something, because many students do this. They assume because it is open book, open note, that the quiz will be easy and they can just start the quiz with their notes ready to go and in front of them. No. Let me explain something to you, because this will really hurt you if you don't do this. You need to read the chapter first before you take the quiz. Read it all the way through, because that will give you the knowledge that you will need to take the quiz. Then you may start using notes and lessons, because if you try to rely on the word search on your online textbook and stuff to help you answer, you will find more often than not, you will actually come across questions that are a little bit tricky, and they'll trip you up and you might get worse grades. We had some students that pulled that, and they were getting some rough test grades. So read the chapter first. They're not very long chapters, not a whole lot of reading. So read the chapter first, highlight important things, take notes, and then take your quiz.
Is it the same amount of reading as history?
No. So, well, in a way, kind of yes, kind of no. So you're going to be reading 2 chapters per week. So 2 chapters per week. So there is a lot of reading, but each chapter is not very long. It's not very hard. So it will not be as condensed and like as crazy as what you had. If you ever take HIS, you'll find out it's a lot of reading. Like the first week in HIS is over 100 pages. So I don't think it's that many for this one.
Most of the time I recommend reading a little bit ahead. Most of the time read a little bit ahead, because anything gets busy, you're going to need to read that.
Yep. So I do recommend going ahead and reading ahead before you take the quizzes. I also recommend you don't have to do this. If you want to go and take the quizzes immediately the first day of the week, you may. But I recommend waiting for my lectures to be done, because 1, we'll be covering some of those points, and 2, we'll be playing Jeopardy, which will actually, you'll be getting some of the answers, because the Jeopardy answers are from the quizzes. So there you go. We'll try to get through as much Jeopardy as possible. We may not get through much this time, and that's just the way it is. Okay, so quizzes are open book, open notes. 2 quizzes should be taken each week, and they're both due by Sunday at 11:55. So in this case, you read chapter 1, chapter 2. So the quiz that will be due this week will be chapter 1 quiz and chapter 2 quiz. Yes?
This is getting so much easier, because
Yeah.
it's Saturday, now it's Sunday.
Yes, yeah, HIS does Saturday deadlines, this one does Sunday, so you have an extra day. Alright, exams. So we kind of talked about them a little bit. There'll be 2 comprehensive exams. One way mid through the term, which I think is week 4, and then at the end. These will be 50 questions each, but you get an hour, not a half hour, you get a full hour. Exam 1 will cover chapters 1 through 5, so like I said, if you studied chapters 1 through 5 and you did well in those quizzes, you're probably going to do well on the exam. Exam 2 is chapters 6 through 10. Exam 1 and 2 will have an entire week and weekend to take the exams. The closing time will be Sunday at 11:55 as usual. However, final grades are due the following Monday at 10. You will not be able to make up a second exam if you miss it, and a 0 will be the grade. So I literally have to enter that because of the way that the scheduling works for grading. If you miss the deadline, I can't do much for you. This is not my fault. So, yeah, the computer not working in this case will not be an excuse since you had an entire week to take it. So, I don't recommend taking it on the very first day of the week. You know, like, obviously give yourself some time to study, but make sure that when you are ready to take it, that you do it and that it's submitted. If for any reason you submit any of these quizzes or tests or whatever, and something says not submitted or didn't go through, send me an email. We'll get it fixed. So no problem there. I can manually input a grade if I have to. All right. So very important for really just about every assignment here. Not being ready or not having time are not legitimate excuses in college. Again, this is part of that responsibility shift from high school to college. You are all kind of becoming young adults. You're getting to that point in your age. It's going to be expected that you actually heed deadlines and consider them very important. So just being like, oh, I'll get it done after I go play soccer or football or whatever, you know, or after I eat Taco Bell or whatever, not an excuse. So, alrighty. Moving on, discussion posts. So, students will have to watch 2 short videos per chapter for threaded discussions. I believe there's actually a list of videos for each week. There's always like 3 or more to choose from per chapter. You'll be able to access that each week in their own respective folders. I will say this much about these videos. Some of these videos are outdated or no longer have good links. If they don't, pick another video. If for any reason none of the video links are working, send me an email. Again, we'll get it fixed. I had a few students last year who they tried to open up links to the videos and they were not working. I think they've been updated, but we'll see. So you're going to watch 2 short videos per week. There's always 3 or 4 to choose from, so you don't have to watch all of them. You can just watch 2. So the student has a choice which he or she would like to watch. Then the student must respond to the video by writing a short paragraph. Now that's 1 paragraph for each video. So how many main posts? 2. Very good. The paragraph should have 4 to 5 sentences discussing critical thinking manner on how this relates to the chapter. 1 or 2 of the sentences should give an opinion on the topic being discussed, what you found interesting, and how it relates to what you know about the topic beforehand. Next, the students must respond to another student's comment made about a video he or she viewed. Again, it should be a paragraph in length from 4 to 5 sentences, and using correct grammar is expected to receive full credit. The responses in the videos are due each week. I will not grade responses to videos that are made late. It is too difficult with all the responses to keep going back to see if students are doing them. So yeah, so here's the thing about this. Technically speaking, this never closes. But if I see that you were way late on a discussion, I'm not going to grade it because it's just, I'm not going to keep going back every single week to double check it. It's too much work. Yes, sir.
Is there a limit for how long the discussions can be?
I believe it's actually 500 words. But as far as a limit in terms of how long they have to be, for me, not really. If you want to go to 600-700 words, you can do that, but you need to at least have 500. It'll say it on the discussion prompt. When you click on it, it'll give you the instructions. Look at the course schedule at the end of the syllabus to see when the journal responses are due, and the art reflection paper, which is a whole different thing. We'll get to that in a bit. That's a whole different thing. So, point rubric is kind of what you're going to see for your peer response in your videos 1 and 2. Yes, ma'am?
What do you mean by the journal responses?
Mm-hmm.
Like the responses to the videos, or?
No. So think of these first 2 videos, 1 and 2. You're going to have 1 main post for each video. So those are your main posts. Then you're going to reply to one of your peers in one of their main posts, and that's a reply post. So that's its own separate thing, but it's all part of the discussion grade. Yep.
Okay. Then what are the journals?
Sorry?
Then what are the journals?
The journals? Let's see here. Threaded discussion, I want to say journal. Oh, journals is a separate assignment. We're about to get to that. I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you were asking. So this is the discussions. Then you're also going to have another assignment called journals. Yeah, we're going to have a lot each week, but it's not too crazy. All right. This might be the 500 thing I was thinking of. This is the 500 thing I was thinking of. I'm sorry, discussions are not as much. This will be it. Okay, journal responses. This is the next thing. Students will complete 4 journal entries. There will be 4 total. Week 1, so this week, week 2, week 4, and week 7. So you're going to do week 1 and 2, you're going to have journals. They're going to have a break in week 3 from journal responses. Week 4, I think you'll have a journal response and the exam, I believe, are the only 2 assignments for that week. And then week 7 at the end. The prompt and journal rubric will be on the course page, so you can click on it. The journal response will require a thorough 4 to 5 paragraph, not sentence, 4 to 5 paragraph response to the given prompt. Students should cite the textbook in the journal response. So you need to use, does anyone know what format?
MLA.
MLA, very good, very easy. I think most of you know how to use MLA. You already have the textbook, so good news is you don't have to do anything crazy. Just make sure you have the correct MLA format for it. It'll be very easy. So this will be more of a private response that I will see. I believe the prompt says 500 words at least, which is about 4 to 5 paragraphs, give or take. Art reflection. So this is where we're going to get to the art reflection. I'm actually going to switch over to the art reflection in a bit, but first I want to cover what this is going to be. You're going to have a final assignment. It's kind of a big project that will be due in the final week. And you can chip away at this now if you want, or if you want to try to hammer it out the last few weeks, you can. I will suggest you may want to start chipping away at this just a little bit each week. Because if you try to do it all the last week, it's going to be kind of crazy. You're going to go nuts trying to get everything done. So, art reflection. This is the final assignment, the big one. Students will complete an art reflection assignment of 2 to 3 pages in MLA format, exploring a geographical region through the art that is produced in that region. By studying an artwork of a region, students will be able to reflect upon the physical geography, people, culture, and worldview of a region, thereby gaining a deeper appreciation for the image of God as reflected in the people and development of the culture presented. Students should cite the textbook and one other resource. So you're going to be citing 2 sources, the textbook to help you out and one other resource. So if you're going to find a source about that work of art, you will actually get a list, which is already on the class schedule, of the arts you can pick from. There's actually a full list that you can pick from. You can pick from multiple regions, and yes, if 2 of you happen to pick the same one, that's okay, because it'll be your own unique reflection. So let's go to the art reflection page, which you can actually also pull up on the class thing. I'm not going to read all this, I'll let you read it, but I just kind of want to give you essentially what you're going to have the option to choose from. You will have a list of links that will actually take you to any number of arts from these regions. So if you're like, oh, I really want to do something from Sub-Saharan Africa, there'll be 1 or 2 options from there. And you will see that on the text page. So you're going to read, yes sir?
What exactly would like the options from Oceania?
I believe Easter Island, if I'm not mistaken, is one of them.
Stuff from islands?
Right, Easter Island head. But you'll get a link to it. If for any reason the links do not work, just like with the videos, please send me an email. We'll figure something out. I'll find another link that works. Should all function right now. The last time I checked they were, but we'll see. Okay, so going down to the details. So select art from the regions. You're going to read the textbook chapters about the region you selected, and you will also need to select one of the reference book article website. Now, I will say, the list that you'll get will actually have some information on that art usually. So you may be able to use that as a source. So you may already have 2 sources right there. Let's see, write a 2-3 page reflection essay. This will also be in MLA format. There was a slight confusion last year. It was an APA. It's not. It's MLA, which includes a works cited page. So who knows how to include a works cited page? Is that all of you? Cool. So the bibliography must include the textbook minimum, one other choice. You are not required to include in-text citations, so that's important. Most of the time when you're writing an essay, you need to include in-text citations. I'm not worried about it for this assignment. It's not the same thing as a formal essay, it's more of a reflection, so it's okay. But remember, if you do include quotations, if you do take directly from a source. So if you copy-paste like something somebody said, it still needs to be in quotations. You need to let me know that's not my wording. Because if I put that on Grammarly and check it, and it's like, yeah, this line is totally taken. This actually happened. I won't name the student, but we had a student who literally copy-pasted the chapter 1 textbook. They just copy-pasted the entire chapter, including the pictures, and put that in. And yeah, they got caught for plagiarism and got a 0. So I want to talk about that. I'll get to your question in a minute. That's one brings me to one other thing we need to talk about: plagiarism. Okay, so every semester, we typically, I hate to say it, we catch at least 1 student doing this. So who knows what plagiarism is? Just about all of you. So who can tell me what it is? Yes, sir.
Plagiarism is the uncited use of another author's work and claiming it as your own.
Pretty much. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's like a textbook definition. It's essentially basically taking somebody else's work or ideas copy pasting it into your own paper, however you do that, and then not giving them credit. That is a big no-no, especially in college. And if it is caught, and it will often be caught because, like I said, I run your stuff through Grammarly, and some people think, oh, well, if I change some of the words around, Grammarly won't catch it. Yes, it will. If you do that and you do not cite it, you are guilty of plagiarism, and I will bring that up, and you will probably receive a 0 for the assignment. If it's a repeated offense, you can even get kicked out of the course completely. So I am asking y'all and asking people on the camera, please, do not plagiarize. I would rather you get a 60 for an assignment than get caught plagiarizing, because yeah, it's a D, but at least it's not a complete 0. And I can respect you just not doing your work very well versus completely stealing. I only say that because, like I said, you would think it doesn't happen often. It's kind of shocking how many students try to get away with it and think they can't. So please do not. Yes?
So how much is on percent is plagiarism? Because I know some things I've written.
Great question.
They're really natural, and it's like 3 words, and it says 2%.
Okay, that is a great question. So Grammarly, here's a good thing. If you're ever curious or like worried that you're plagiarizing, one, if you're worried about it, you probably aren't. That's a good sign. If you're worried about it, you're probably doing a good job. But there is a plagiarism checker on Grammarly. You can click it, and it will give you a percentage. So usually speaking, anything above 12%, I start opening my eyes a little bit like, Sometimes anything above 12% is just Grammarly just didn't catch the source that you put on it. That's okay. If it's anything above 20%, I'm like, uh-oh, something's up. Now, again, that could just be a Grammarly error, and I will always double check, but if I see 20%, it means somewhere in the paper you probably copy-pasted a big chunk and either forgot to cite it or just worded it in a way that was a little bit too close to the original source without citing it. So anything above 20%, I start perking up. Like, I've seen some that have been as bad as 70%. And like I said, the one incident that happened, it was just chapter 1. It was 100% plagiarism. The textbook literally caught it, and they're like, yeah, this is from this textbook. I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. So it's just one of those things. It's just better to not do it. If you're ever like, most of the time when I see plagiarism, the reason it happens is because a student feels very overwhelmed. They feel like, oh, we don't have enough time to get the assignment done. I'm just going to copy paste this, get it in there, and send it. Worst possible thing you can do. If for any reason you were overwhelmed and you've had too much going on that week, or a medical reason or anything, send me an email and let me know. I have the ability to theoretically grant an extension if I think the excuse is valid. Even if I don't think the excuse is valid, I'd still rather you turn in a not very good paper than a plagiarized one. Just quite frankly, yes, sir.
So would it still be considered plagiarism if you say I typed the sentence and for some weird reason it pulled up just a random article that I had no clue existed? Is that still considered plagiarism?
That rarely happens. To you to be like that detailed, for it to be the exact same sentence as another article. If it's like one sentence, no. Because, I mean, but if it's like, say, somehow you get 4 or 5 sentences that are from that article, I'm going to start thinking, you copied that. Because there's no way in the combination of math or words that you would be able to do that perfectly. I've never seen that happen without it being some form of plagiarism. Let's put it that way. So probably not. All right. Any questions on the art reflection assignment? Yes, sir.
So yeah, like sometimes there's like a 5-word phrase part of a sentence that sometimes says it's from an article that has like completely nothing to do with what I'm writing about. It's just
right.
Like 5 words.
If it's like I said, if it's just 5 words or a sentence, usually I'm not worried about it. Because the odds of it being plagiarism and the odds of it actually being perfectly copying it word for word are pretty slim. And like I said, if it's just one sentence and I go to that site and I look at it and I see it's nothing like what you've written, I'm like, okay, no, that's fine. It has to be, like I said, it has to be like 12%. That's quite a bit. That's like at least 5 sentences in your paper probably has that, and that causes me a little concern. And even then, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. It's just like anything with 20s where I really start being like, something happened here. So, and it could have been that you just forgot to put in a source. If that happens and you fess up to it and you're like, I'm so sorry, I forgot to put in a source, I will do that and resend it, no problem, But if you try to hide it, it's going to be worse. Okay, so moving on. Let's see, we may not get a whole lot of time for Jeopardy today, but I do want to cover the syllabus more than anything. We're not going to cover all the grading structure, but just to let you know, basically, threaded discussions are 10% of your grade, so that's a whole letter grade. That's the difference between A and a B. Quizzes are 15%, journal responses are 15%. So you want to put a lot of emphasis on that. Your art reflection and your exams are where the big bulk of your grade's going to be. So you want to make sure that you're chipping away at that art reflection, and if you have questions about it, by the way, if you're curious about it, or you're just not sure what the instructions are, again, ask me, send me an email. We can even talk about it in class a little bit. Yes, sir?
Will all the links for the map, like recognizing the countries on a map, will all those links be in the syllabus?
Yes, well, not just this, they're in the syllabus, but they should also be on your class page too. So you'll actually have, excuse me, I'm sorry. And again, like if for any reason you can't open something, just let me know. Be like, hey, Mr. Belcher, I'm trying to click on this link, it's not working, we'll figure it out. It could be on your end, it might be on our end. Sometimes the links are just bad and they're just no longer valid. And like I said, like regarding the videos and stuff, if you click on a video and it just doesn't work, go ahead and let me know, but then just pick another video. You know, just go with it. Okay, so we're gonna skip this grading structure, that's just how we grade, that's not important. Attendance, same thing, you just need to make sure you're here every day. Makeup late exams. Okay, so makeup late exams and late work are to be made at the discretion of the professor for each course. In other words, I have the power. So I'm usually very merciful if the excuse is legitimate. Like, I'm so sorry, something happened with a medical issue, or my computer's been down for days, I am working on it, trying to fix it, otherwise, you know, whatever. But if you send me a thing, go, hey, I was out, like, last week and at a retreat and I didn't have internet. First of all, anywhere you go, there's a place to get Wi-Fi. There's a McDonald's near where you are. I don't care if you're out in Kansas, there's a McDonald's there. You can get Wi-Fi enough to turn in the assignment, or at the very least enough to give me a heads up. So if it was just, I didn't get to it, I'm not going to give you a redo. Yeah.
So I do a lot of like camping, all this, right around the time that we're actually doing this course. I have a big camping event coming up. Would that count as a valid excuse? Because
my recommendation is get it done early. Yeah. So like honestly, if you know you're going to go on a trip for 2 or 3 days, get your stuff done the days before. Just knock it out. These quizzes and these journal responses really don't take that long, so if you just kind of barrel through it in a day, you got it, and it's better to do that than to just hope that I'll be like, oh, camping, that's rad, okay, yeah, you can totally make it up. No, I'm like I said, I'm very merciful if I think the excuse is valid. I'm like, okay, I totally understand, like, I won't say who, but had some medical excuses for some students here, like, hey, something happened, I got sick, I was in the hospital, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to give you an extension for that, I get that. Also, sometimes TFC's power will go out because they're in the mountains and that just happens. So if TFC's stuff goes out, that's not our problem, that's not y'all's fault, that is simply what happened. Yes, I'm going to give everyone an extension for that too. No, do not go and destroy TFC's generator just to avoid paper, it's not worth it. Okay. So, in the case the teacher considers it to be a legitimate excuse, this test can be made for full credit, not being ready, not having time, not legitimate. A student will be permitted to take a missed days for an illegitimate excuse, but the highest grade possible is a 60. So it's technically a D. So, if you miss something and you absolutely want to retake it, I'll let you, but the best I'm going to be able to give you is a 60%, which is a D. Granted, it's better than a 0, but I really wouldn't take the D because it can probably affect your percentage overall really drastically, especially if it's an exam. That's going to really hurt your grade. So, okay. Late work for the threaded discussions and journals are not acceptable and will not be graded late. The only time it will be considered again is if there's a legitimate excuse like a medical or I've been contacted in time. Okay, academic honesty, we already covered plagiarism, that's academic honesty. Course drop and withdrawal. We pretty much copied this too, so main thing is that if for any reason you feel super overwhelmed and you're just like, I cannot take this course, I can't do it, make sure you withdraw by April, I think 14th, because that way you do not get an academic penalty, you don't get a fail. This has happened even when I took classes at UNG as a college student. Sometimes I took classes I thought I could handle, turned out they just weren't up my alley and I just had too much going on. You need to withdraw because you don't want that F. So, and all the withdrawal is just saying, I'm taking a hiatus from it, I'll come back to it. You don't get a penalty for that. Withdrawals are just fine. That being said, if you do feel a little overwhelmed, talk to me. We'll figure out something out because I think just about anyone can pass this course without too much trouble, as long as they're doing the readings and stuff. Alright, grade appeal process. So, basically, I'm not going to read all this. Basically, here's the grade appeal process. I am in charge of the class, so I give out the grades. If for any reason you don't like the grade I gave you and you really don't like it, send me an email. I will consider it very seriously. Like, okay, Mr. Belcher, I don't think I deserve a D on this. Here's why. You need to list the reasons why. Send a screenshot, whatever. Make a case. I will consider that very carefully. I may change your grade, it kind of depends. If I do not agree, I will say, I appreciate that you made the case, but I think this merits this particular grade. If you don't like it, you get to take it higher up to the dean. So, and then the dean is my boss, so if he thinks I made a valid case, he's going to basically tell you, he's a professor, he's got the in charge, but if for any reason I have egregiously overstepped my boundaries, which I've never done yet, they will come down on me and say, you got to change this grade, you were unfair. So that's just the thing. If for any reason you feel like you deserve a better grade and I didn't give it to you and you have not contacted me first, go to the dean after you contacted me. So, disability services and tutoring services, I'll let you read these on your own. Essentially, if you feel like you need disability services, tutoring services, you can contact said office. Tutor at tfc.edu, I actually encourage you to use that. If for any reason you're struggling with the class, get a tutor or contact tutor at tfc.edu. They're really good about tutoring, really good about getting people to help you out. So that, I think the tutor lab, yeah, 7 to 11 p.m., so it's an evening thing, but if you're just struggling, I encourage you to get it. I don't think y'all need it, but don't feel bad if you need one. It's not at all a bad thing. All right, course schedule. I'm going to quickly try to go over these. March 21 through 27, chapter 22, take quizzes, video responses, and first journal responses. So you have 2 chapters to read, 2 quizzes to do, the 2 video responses plus your peer response, and then your first journal response. So that's quite a bit to cover in this first week, not to mention what else. That should be done today, really.
Checking quiz.
The checking quiz. Very good. So you got quite a bit to cover for that first week. Week 2, you're going to take the quizzes, do the video responses, and second journal response. These are all detailed, by the way, in your course schedule. So what I would do is, first of all, I would check this every day, but also check the class page every day. Check your week tabs, because it will have everything in each week that you need to do. If for any reason you go through a week and you think you haven't done something, double check it. I'm not going to go through too much of this. I think it's week 4, if I'm not mistaken. Is it week 4? Where is week 4? There it is. Okay, so week 4, April 11th through 17th, take exam 1 over the first 5 chapters. You will also have a third journal response, and the exam questions will reflect what was quizzed in chapter 1 through 5. So, like week 4, you only have 2 major assignments. You've got the exam 1, and you've got the third journal response. So it's a little bit less of a work week. But that being said, I would take that extra time to make sure you've reviewed for the quiz. And that being said, the rest of this is self-explanatory, and I'd rather not spend too much time on it. Last thing we need to cover here, yeah, final week, take exam 2, that'll be chapter 6 through 10. Exam 2 will be open Monday at 9 and closes at Sunday. Please mark this down on your calendar. Every semester someone misses the deadline. It's true, every semester at least one student misses it and they get a bad grade. No makeup if you miss it. Grades are submitted on Monday at 10 by me, and the journal response, the fourth journal response will also be due. Now, before I go on to our fun Jeopardy games for review, I'll try to get a little bit of both because it's going to be 2 chapters. Does anyone have any questions about college classes, this, anything? No? Okay. Sweet. So, I think because we didn't have as many students as I was expecting, for this particular week, since we need to try to get through as much of this as possible, I'm just going to let y'all kind of chip in. We're not going to do teams this particular week. Next week we'll probably do teams and try to see if we do some verses. I'll try to come up with prizes, maybe like for the exam review or something like that. We'll play like a prize game, but that'll be week 3 or 4. So the first chapter is going to mostly cover just kind of some general stuff about geography. So this is going to test and see what you know. Chapter 2 is going to be covering, I believe, Europe, if I'm not mistaken. So let me turn the lights off here, and we will cover some questions from each one. Alright, so feel free to raise your hand. Try to wait for the question to be at. I got it. So feel free to raise your hand. Okay. I got it. Alright, so we're going to do no teams. Normally the way this works, if you, oops, hold on, I reset. Do no teams. Reset. Okay. Alright, normally the way this works, if we're playing teams, I think just about all of you have seen my Jeopardy games at one point, you would raise your hand for your team, and if you answer it, you get it right, you get points. If you get it wrong, you miss points. But for the sake of this, we're going to cover a few questions from here, a few questions from chapter 2, so any of you feel free to raise your hands and just go for it. You will not lose points, it's not a competition, just, this is like a review to see what you know. So, yes sir?
Can we get points?
Did we get point? No, because we're not doing teams, so don't worry about points. Not this time. Next week we'll do teams, we'll do points. Yes, sir.
Can we use our notes?
You may use your notes. You may actually use your notes if you feel you want to. And let's see, we have class ends at 1:25, so about 20 minutes. So we'll spend 10 minutes on this one, 10 minutes on the other one. So we'll try to get through 5 or 6 in each. Next week we'll be able to get through a lot more. Just we had to go over that syllabus. It's always important. So who wants to pick the first category? Yes, sir.
I'll do maps.
Maps.
I was gonna do that.
Wait, which one?
Maps 300.
Maps 300. Okay. This is a place's position north or south of the equator measured in degrees. Yes, sir.
Latitude.
Let's see, latitude? What is latitude? Very good. So, a place's north or south of the equator measured in degrees is latitude. Okay, we're already off on a good start. Just out of curiosity, who already read the chapters?
I read chapter 1, I'm not working on it.
Okay. We got 5 somewhat responsible students. Well, so now I'm just kidding. Alright, who wants to pick the next one?
Terms. 400.
Terms 400?
Yes.
The term for the average number of children born to a woman during her childbearing
Oh, I
years.
think.
Fertility rate.
It is fertility rate, or TFR, total fertility rate, TFR.
Come on.
And if you've told me your TFR, that is TMI. Alright, who else wants to pick one? Alright, we'll let you pick one.
The big question 300.
Good question, 300.
It's not this big.
What has led and facilitated the rapid diffusion of cultural ideas and values? Yes.
Is it the globalization?
Globalization? Okay, let's see.
What exactly?
Believe it or not, it's the internet.
That was my guess, not me.
It's the internet, yep. So you are along the right path because globalization has been a form where we have actually shared a lot of cultural ideas and values, but in terms of what has led to the rapid diffusion of it, it's the internet. Ever since, gosh, the mid-90s, late 90s, culture interaction has just boomed, especially with things like YouTube and TikTok.
Oh, word.
So, alrighty, let's see, someone else gets to pick. Yes, sir, you get to pick.
Stats 500.
Stats 500. Alrighty. The best way to measure a country's wealth in the country and overseas.
Per capita?
See? Okay. Gross national income, GNI. GNI. Gross national income. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Who wants to pick the next one? Yes, ma'am.
General geography 400.
General geography 400. The existing inequalities that world geography attempts to find the answers to. These are the existing inequalities that world geography attempts to find the answer to. Ooh, this one's tougher. It's a couple people. Goody, I got one you didn't know. Test fails. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like I know it, but it's like not coming to me.
Okay, do we want to skip this one or go to the answer to this one?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, okay, so you're trying to? I don't want to spend too much time
No,
on
you
this.
can go ahead. I don't
Okay.
have it. I have it.
We'll do this next week where we spend more time on each one.
this.
What is wealth, life expectancy, and healthcare? These are 3 things listed. So this will be on your quiz on multiple choice. Make sure you answer wealth, life expectancy, and healthcare. So, alrighty. Who wants to go for the next one?
Maps 200.
Maps 200? Alright. The problem that arises because the Earth is a sphere and maps are generally flat. Yes, sir.
Distortion like at the North and South Pole.
Okay, very good. Distortion, exactly right. So distortion. Alright, this is why like if you're actually like standing, on a beach, you can't actually see all the way to the edge of the Earth. The Earth actually does curve. So,
Yes.
alrighty. Yes, sir.
General geography 200?
General geography 200?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The common way geographers look at the world. Yes.
Spatially?
See? Spatial perspective, very good. Exactly right. Spatial perspective. You have to have a lot of spatial awareness, which I don't have. So, alright.
Depth perception?
I don't know if it's quite the same thing. Quite. Depth perception is more like a direct focus. Spatial awareness is like looking at kind of the general everything. Like you're aware of multiple things going on and how it connects.
I call
Okay.
that depth perception.
Let's see, who else wants to pick? Oh, yes, sir.
Maps 400.
Maps 400. Alright. We'll do about 2 or 3 more of these and then switch to the other one. Also called homogeneous regions, these regions have at least one characteristic in common. Yes, sir.
Third world countries or something?
Formal regions. Not quite, they're called formal regions. And this is another reason why it's important to read before you take the quiz and don't just go off and answer, because that could be a big grade. Did you have a hand up or?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to pick or?
Terms for 200?
Terms for 200, let's do it. The increasing level of interconnections among people and places throughout the world. I'll let you answer this one.
Globalization.
Globalization. Very good. Yeah, you were actually on that one earlier, kind of along that same thing. And then the difference between this question, be careful because this will happen in your quizzes. You'll see 2 questions that might appear very similar, but how they're worded might affect their answer. So in this case, what is the actual interconnection is globalization, but what's the rapid diffusion of it is the internet. So even though they both look similar, they will be different answers. So be careful of that. All right, yes sir.
Big question, 500.
Big question 500. Okay, in a blank state, the central government has the most power, while in blank states, regional government and self-governing states have power. This is 2 answers. Yes.
In a unitary state, the central government has the most power, while
Okay.
in federal states, the regional governments.
Very good. Hey, good job. That was a double answer. Nice job. Man, y'all should have been on a team. You'd have been winning. Oh well. So, hey, that's a very good answer though. All right, we'll do one more and then we're going to flip over to Europe. So, who wants to do the final one? Sir.
Big question, 200.
Big question is 200? Okay. The majority of scientists agree that global climate change has come about mostly from human activity, especially carbon dioxide helping to create this. Yes.
Greenhouse gases.
Yes. Greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect.
Same thing.
Alrighty, let's move over. Yeah, we got time, so we're going to reset this one too. Yep. Alright, this one is more or less leading to chapter 2 readings, and I believe some parts of Europe as well. So, who wants to pick the category for this one? Yes?
Countries 300.
Countries 300. Make sure this is, yep. This country is the gateway for immigrants entering Europe.
France.
Greece. It's actually Greece. As they say, Greece is the town, it's the place, is... Oh, that's a musical, never mind, that's not the same thing. My bad.
I'll probably be more like round to go.
Alright, yes sir.
Politics 300.
Politics 300. Oh yeah. Someone's a political person. Alright. A state that is dominated by a single homogeneous ethnic and linguistic cultural identity. So this is a state that is dominated by a single homogeneous ethnic linguistic cultural identity.
Sounds like Florida.
Same. Like same, basically. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to need it.
This one's stumping people.
Can I just say state as an option?
You can try, you can guess, and we'll see if you're right.
Florida. Can I say
Florida?
Communism, Florida?
You think Florida's all one cultural identity? Wow.
They're crazy.
It's a nation. What is a nation state?
I should have gone with Alabama
So,
instead. You're
it
right.
wasn't talking about states from America, it was talking about
That's
type
true.
of state.
California, quick, right?
I was thinking
Yeah, if you think Florida's all the same, you have not been to Florida, I'm not telling you that much. The only way they're all the same is that nobody there uses a turn signal, that's the whole
That sounds good.
Alright, so, who wants to pick the next? Yes, sir.
400.
Facts 400. A philosophy valuing human beings and reason. This was founded during the French Revolution.
Just human rights?
Nope.
no.
Oh.
Liberty, equality, fraternity?
That's their motto. Let's see if you're right. I'll explain why. Humanism. It was along those lines. That was from that line. This actually came from a movement known as the Enlightenment. In fact, the founding fathers borrowed a lot from humanism and the Enlightenment when they were founding the country. Our country was largely founded on a hybrid of Christian Judeo ideals and humanistic ideals. So, alrighty. So you actually wanted to pick one before. I'll get to you next. Which one did you want to do?
Industry 400.
Industry 400. One of the key side effects of the production of the steam engine. I'll actually let one of these are you, sir.
Urbanism?
Urbanism?
No.
You think it's different?
I think it's different. It probably has to do with emissions.
Emissions?
Oh,
Nope,
wow.
improved iron. Yep. Key side effects of production of the steam engine was improved iron. So better versions of iron, as well as steel actually. Okay, and then you had one.
Industry 300.
Industry 300. The savings in cost per unit that results from increasing production. So this is the savings in cost per unit that results from increasing production.
Increasing production is mass production?
So what? Mass production, economics of scale. Economics of scale. Yep. Some of these terms are going to be stuff you've probably never heard of or very little of. So make sure that you're catching a lot of these vocabulary terms. I'll let you pick one.
Times they're changing or unchanging. 400.
Yeah, that's if you didn't get that reference, it's a Bob Dylan song. And the times they are a-changing.
This is Bob Dylan.
I'm going to put an F in your grades. Don't bother turning it in. No, I'm just kidding. All right, what was that? 400 you said?
400.
Okay. Yes. The European Union was formed in 1993 and has 28 member countries. This country decided to leave the Union in 2016.
I'm thinking
The United
was-
Kingdom?
Nope.
Or
Russia, probably. No, I
Britain.
don't know.
England.
Yes.
What?
The United Kingdom. Which it includes England. Oh, did you say that?
I
Yeah,
said
he said the United Kingdom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The entire island wasn't just.
It was the United Kingdom. My apologies. So yes, this happened, and you probably you may have heard about this in the news. This was very big. It was the Brexit.
Brexit.
So the Brexit.
What's it?
Brexit. British exit from the EU.
Ah.
So.
I have no idea that's what it stood for.
Alrighty. What are you done with?
Facts 300.
Facts 300. Did you have your hand up, by the way? I don't know why. I keep seeing like a hand go up somewhere over here, and then like I
I think it might be the shadows.
It might be the shadows. The river that winds its way through 10 countries from Germany to Ukraine.
Is it possibly?
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah, let's look right here.
I want to say the Nile River, but I
That's
don't
in
know.
Africa. Volga? Is that what it is?
You saw Germany.
Danube.
It was close.
It's the Danube.
That
I love
Danube.
that country.
The Volga does go through Russia, but the Danube goes through 10 countries. The Nile is in Africa. You need to read these chapters.
The Nile.
Alright, the next one. Let's see. Alright.
Times are changing 500.
Times are changing. The United Kingdom was once the dominant force in Europe during industrialization, but this country now dominates the continent in terms of population, GDP, and size.
Oh wait, country.
Oh,
I'm thinking, well, it's probably the United
You pick
States.
Germany. It is Germany.
I was gonna say China,
That is
but
Germany.
that's not-
Spread the chapter.
Very good. Alright, so we got enough time for about 3 or 4 more. So, yes. Countries 400. In 2014 and 2015, migration to Europe intensified as a result of an ongoing civil war in this country.
Spain?
Let's see.
No, Mexico.
Syria. Yeah. So a lot of Syrian migrants came in. That was also a very, very big issue that faced the news. A lot of Syrian refugees. So, yes sir?
Politics 200.
Politics 200. Extreme nationalism, where the country has an authoritarian leader who develops an effective military and economy and is willing to blame a group that is part of the country, is called this.
I want to say communism.
No.
Okay?
Dictator.
No.
Okay?
Fascism.
Fascism. Who often has a dictator. But fascism specifically. Very extreme nationalism. That term gets, and let me explain something about fascism, and I'll say the same thing about communism, fascism, socialism. These terms get thrown around very easily, especially by people who are on either like extreme of a political side, not just in America, but all over. Essentially, some people will say, oh, you're a bunch of fascists, or you're a bunch of socialists, and it kind of depends on the context, but it's often either wrong or not fully correct. So you have to be pretty extreme to be in a fascist or socialist mindset. Yes?
I just had, I was going to say times 300.
Oh, okay, you want to pick a different one? Or? Oh, times 300. I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought you said politics 300. All right, times 300. Let's do that one. Religious adherence in Europe is shifting more toward this view, where religious ideologies are excluded from government or public activities. This is becoming major in Europe right now.
Separation of church and state?
Along that line, there's a term for it.
Probably either agnosticism or atheism.
Okay, so it's secularism. You're along the right line. So we have a similar practice in the United States where we separate church and state, and that is anything that not having to do with religion is secular. So if it's like, I don't know, something like politics or dancing or something, and we exclude religion from that, it's a secular activity. Okay, I think we got time for about 2 more, so let's figure out. Yes, sir?
Country's 500.
Country's 500.
Big money.
In 2015, 65.3 million people were displaced. This country received the most applications for people seeking refugee status at the time.
Maybe like a weird long shot to Syria or Afghanistan, because it's
Germany.
Germany. It's just
Why is it always something related to Germany as something?
Because when Syria fell,
When Syria
everyone went
fell,
to Germany because it was far enough away, had a stable economy,
Yep.
and in many cases, if anything else happened in Europe, they could go to England or France, which could lead to America.
Yep.
So
Yes,
Germany
sir.
is really
Final one.
Facts, 200.
Alright, facts for 200. This will be the last one for today. The less prosperous countries of Europe tend to be concentrated in this region. I'm giving it to you in the corner.
the former Soviet bloc.
Okay? Eastern Europe, which is the former Soviet bloc. That's the same area. Yes, Eastern Europe, which is Russia. So, yep.
I was gonna say generally.
Alrighty, so guys, I think that's all the time we have for today. If you do not mind, make sure that you read everything this week. Make sure you do the check-in quiz today. Make sure that if you have any questions or something is not looking right, send me an email. And remember, how do you send an email? To my college CFC email from your college CFC email. Yep.